A day before Valentine's, two men in a van drive by Joel Barish and wave at him while he's on his way home. But Joel ignores them and continues walking to his apartment building. While getting his mail, his neighbor Frank greets him and asks about his plan for his Valentine's date with his girlfriend, Clementine Krutzinski, causing him to be silent. Joel sees that one of Frank's mails is from Lacuna Inc., a New York City clinic, and he immediately leaves, saying he needs to go to sleep, which surprises Frank because it's still 8:30. Joel changes his clothes for bed and takes a pill. He looks out his window, and when he sees the van parked outside his building, he brings down the blinds and turns the lights off, looking nervous. When the men, Stan and Patrick, see his lights are off, they enter his apartment with their equipment and find Joel knocked out on the floor. They place him on his bed and set up their equipment. 3 days before Valentine's, Joel tried to make up with Clementine. He called her, but she changed her number, so he got her a piece of jewelry from Antic Attic as an early Valentine's gift and went to surprise her at work. However, when he got there, she looked at him like she didn't know who he was and treated him like a customer, asking him if she could help him find something. While Joel was stunned in confusion, Patrick approached Clementine and they kissed, which confused and hurt him even more. A heartbroken Joel left crying and confided in his friends, married couple Rob and Carrey. He thought Clementine was punishing him for being honest, and when he suggested going over to her house, Rob stopped him and Carrey suggested taking it as a sign that they take a break. When Rob pulled out an envelope from Lacuna, Carrey stopped him, causing them to get into an argument. After Carrey left, Rob made Joel read the message Lacuna sent to them, informing them that Clementine had him erased from her memory and asking them to not mention their relationship to her. Joel visited Lacuna and showed the letter to Dr. Howard Mirzwaak, who apologized to him as he was not supposed to see it and assured him that it was not a hoax. Since Clementine underwent the procedure, he told Joel that she was not happy and wanted to move on. When the pain became too great for him, Joel decided to undergo the same procedure. Howard told him to collect everything he owned that was associated with Clementine for them to create a map of Clementine in his brain and to eliminate any trace of her in his life. After the mapping, their technician will do the procedure in his home later in the evening, so that in the morning he'll wake up in his bed as if nothing happened. Joel later returned to Lacuna with the items and Howard introduced him to Stan, one of their most experienced and skilled technicians, who will be handling his procedure. Narrating their story to Howard, Joel told him that he first met Clementine a couple of years ago when he accepted Rob and Carrey's invitation to a beach party, which his then live-in girlfriend Naomi was not able to go. The interview recounting their volatile relationship, which was recorded in a tape, was interrupted when Patrick fell behind him. After his vitals were checked, Joel was placed under the mapping equipment, where he needed to concentrate on the memories associated with the items Stan was showing him. While Stan concentrates to get things done as soon as possible, Patrick criticizes Joel's apartment. Because the procedure erases the most recent memory first and works backward, Joel first re-experiences the last time he was with Clementine, their last fight. Clementine arrived at Joel's apartment at 3 a.m. and he called her out for drunk driving, which resulted in a dent on his car. When Clementine guessed that he was trying to figure out if she fooled around with anyone because he was freaking out that she was out late without him, Joel responded that he assumed she did, as it's how she gets people to like her. Insulted, Clementine returned his keys, saying she wouldn't be needing them anymore, grabbed her stuff, and left, ignoring Joel's apology. While Joel chases her in the memory, he tells her that he's erasing her in his memory and that she did it to him first. But Clementine ignores him. He then hears Stan and Patrick's voices, which confuses him as he can't see them. Patrick shares with Stan that she fell in love with Clementine the night they did her procedure, which Stan finds ridiculous since she was unconscious. When he adds that he stole a pair of her clean panties, Stan quickly demands that he stop as he doesn't want to hear those stuff. In the memory where Joel and Clementine were eating takeout food, Joel hears Patrick telling Stan that after Clementine's procedure, he visited her at work and asked her out. When Stan says it's unethical, Patrick says it's not that bad. Joel tells Clementine that someone who stole her underwear is in the apartment, but since only Joel can hear Patrick and Stan, she dismisses him, saying she doesn't see anyone. Joel re-experiences the memories that remind him how volatile their relationship is, suddenly erupting into a heated argument even if they were sweet and laughing seconds ago, such as their discussion about having a baby together and him not opening up enough to her. Meanwhile, Lacuna's secretary Mary arrives at Joel's apartment and Stan greets her with a kiss. As Joel re-experiences his dinner with Clementine at Kong's on November 19, 2003, he hears Patrick talking to an upset Clementine on the phone, calling her Tangerine. When he re-experiences the memory where Clementine matched her orange hair with her orange hoodie, which he loved, he realizes that he used to call her Tangerine because she looked like one. He asks why Patrick calls her that too, but she has no clue what he's talking about. After Patrick leaves, Stan and Mary take drugs, party, and have sex, while the procedure runs on Joel's brain on autopilot. Regardless of the topic Stan is talking about, Mary expresses his admiration for Howard and his work. Meanwhile, Patrick visits Clementine, who is hysterical because she feels like nothing is making sense. She then asks Patrick to go to the frozen Charles Lake with her. Patrick informs Stan that he won't be able to return and searches through his bag, which contains all of Clementine's items that she brought to her mapping, for any information about Charles Lake. As it turns out, he has been using Joel and Clementine's memories to win her heart. Patrick gives her Joel's apology/early Valentine's gift from Antique Attic, claiming it as his early Valentine's gift for her. Happy and moved that the jewelry fit her taste, she comments that she's never dated a guy who gave her a piece of jewelry she liked and thanks him. Joel re-experiences the memory where Clementine confided that when she was 8, she had a favorite ugly girl doll she called Clementine, who she kept yelling to be pretty, believing that if she could transform her, she'd magically change too, as she thought she was ugly too. He assured her that she was pretty while kissing her, and she begged him to not leave her. Not wanting to forget their early happy moments, he desperately calls out to Howard, begging him to allow him to keep that memory. When Joel re-experiences the memory where he told Clementine that he could die at that moment as he's at his happiest while they're lying on the frozen Charles Lake, the memory turns dark and she is pulled away. He tries to give the technicians a sign that he wants to stop the procedure, but to no avail. While lying on the frozen Charles Lake with Clementine, Patrick tells her that he could die at that moment as he's at his happiest. Clementine suddenly sits up, overwhelmed with unexplainable emotions, and leaves. He chases her, trying to calm her down, but to no avail. Joel informs Clementine about the situation, and she simply tells him to tell the technicians to cancel it. When he tells her that he can't since he's asleep, she tells him to wake himself up. Thinking her suggestion is ridiculous, he sarcastically stretches his eyes wide to wake himself up. To his surprise, his body's eyes open, and he becomes conscious of the real world for a few seconds, but he can't move. Clementine suggests hiding in a memory where she doesn't belong, so they won't be able to erase her. Because of this, the machine stops erasing. Stan informs Howard and urges Mary to leave, as he's supposed to be there with Patrick, not her. However, instead of leaving, Mary freshens up for Howard. Stan and Mary successfully clean the place up before Howard arrives and fixes the mapping. Joel and Clementine keep running away, but the Lacuna team keeps on finding them. When Stan goes out for some fresh air, Mary kisses Howard and confesses her feelings for him. He initially turns her down, but Stan witnesses them kiss from outside. Howard's wife Hollis arrives, and Stan tries to warn them, but it's too late. Hollis leaves and Howard runs after her, explaining that he came to work. Mary, who also runs out, explains that it was her who initiated the kiss, but Hollis insinuates that they have a past before she leaves. When Mary turns to Howard for an explanation, Howard informs her that she underwent the procedure to forget about their affair. While he returns to resume the procedure on Joel, Mary goes to the clinic where she finds proof of her procedure. Joel re-experiences his last remaining memory of Clementine, the day they first met. Together with Rob and Carrey, he attends a party at a beach in Montauk. He meets Clementine, who tells him to not make jokes about her name. He sings "Oh My Darling Clementine," saying he had a favorite Huckleberry Hound doll when he was a kid. When Clementine asks him what they should do since it's their last memory, Joel says they'll enjoy it. As the memory crumbles around them, Clementine bids farewell to Joel, who tells her he loves her. In their last seconds together, Clementine tells Joel to meet her in Montauk. Joel wakes up the next day without any memory of Clementine. On his way to work, he sees the huge dent on the side of his car, and he sarcastically leaves a thank you note on the car next to it. Meanwhile, Mary leaves her job at Lacuna. Stan swears that he did not know about her affair with Howard and did not do her procedure, and confesses that he has feelings for her. She leaves with all the Lacuna records she stole and mails them to the patients. While on the platform waiting for his train, Joel hears an announcement saying, "Montauk train on track B," and he impulsively decides to skip work and take the train to Montauk. He has no clue why he did, as he's never an impulsive person. About to write his first journal entry in 2 years in a freezing Montauk, Joel notices that his notebook has some pages ripped off, but he has no recollection of doing so. While at the beach, he sees Clementine, who's now a stranger to him but gets shy to make eye contact with her. Later at a cafe, Joel sees Clementine again. She gives him a little nod, but he quickly looks away. He continues writing in his journal and scoffs about how ridiculous it is that he falls in love with every woman who gives him a bit of affection. At the platform waiting for a train back, Clementine waves at Joel, and he shyly waves back. Aboard the train, she approaches him while he draws them in his notebook and engages in a conversation with him. They learn that they're both going to Rockville Center, and she wonders if they've met before, but figures that it's probably just because he shops at the bookstore she works at. After exchanging names, she tells him to not make jokes about her name. When he says he doesn't know any jokes about her name, she sings "Oh My Darling Clementine" and tells him about Huckleberry Hound. Hitting it off, they spend the next evening lying on the frozen Charles River next to a crack, looking at the stars in the sky. The next morning, Joel drops Clementine off her place, but she decides to stay at Joel's to sleep. When she goes in to get her toothbrush, she plays Patrick's voicemail asking where she is. Meanwhile, outside, Patrick knocks on Joel's car door and asks Joel what he is doing there and if he can help him with something. When Joel says he's not sure what he's asking him, Patrick says, "Oh, thanks," and walks away. Confused, Joel closes his car window and briefly watches him leave. On Clementine's way out, she grabs the Lacuna file that's mailed to her. En route to Joel's, she reads Mary's letter to all the patients and plays her tape, where she says she's in the clinic to erase her memory of Joel. Hearing Clementine's complaints about him, Joel thinks she's messing with him and demands that she exit his car. Clementine returns to her apartment, where Patrick greets her. Hysterical, she screams at him to leave her alone, and she later drives to Joel's, where Frank, a man she's never met before, greets her. Clementine finds Joel listening to his tape, and he shows her his past drawing of her that he found. When they hear the part where Joel talks about Clementine using sex to get people to like her, the same topic that caused their breakup, a hurt Clementine leaves. Joel chases her, and they agree to try again.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.